Hi everyone, I'm Alex Rosenfeld, founder of Freshwater Investments, and this is Coffee with the T-Bird podcast. I sit down with fellow T-Birds who are making an impact in business, leadership, and entrepreneurship. Each episode features conversations that explore the pivotal moments, personal motivations, and lessons learned on their journeys. Whether you're a student, alum, or someone passionate about business and personal growth, you'll walk away with fresh ideas. This is a bit more than a podcast. It's a platform for connections, storytelling, and celebrating the global spirit of Thunderbird. This podcast is sponsored by Freshwater Investments. At Freshwater, we make it simple for you to invest in large apartment communities across the United States so you can earn passive income, grow your capital, and benefit from real estate tax breaks without owning or managing property yourself. Hello, everyone. I'm Alex Rosenfeld, founder of Freshwater Investments, and my guest today is Sanghita Dey. She's a dynamic fintech executive and founder with 15 years of expertise in trading, hedging, and cross-border payments, known for building impactful ventures and driving growth in the fintech space. Currently, she's serving as a co-founder and CEO of Solus Finance, leading efforts to simplify crypto derivatives trading. Previously founded Yormoka, a hiring platform acquired in a successful exit. Sanghita, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Alex. Really happy to be here, and thank you for a wonderful...
Of course, it's a pleasure to have you. Can we start with the announcement of you being accepted or being part of Forbes under 40?
That's correct.
By Forbes magazine. Can you tell us how did you find out about it? And what it means for you?
Yeah, how did I find out about it is very interesting. Is because have a lot of investors. One of those actually was Capital, and then these investors, they were pushing me for more branding, and I'm more like heads down, do the work, not come much more on the public stage kind of thing. So Solus is focusing a lot on Latin America, countries like Argentina, Mexico, Brazil. And so I got highly encouraged by investors to go and apply for this. So I applied for it. They went through their own review processes. I actually applied for both Brazil and Argentina both. But then Argentina, for the tech leadership, picked me up under 40 under 40. So really happy. That also gives a recognition on what we are building is adding a true value to our users or to the especially then we are building. I think this is phenomenal experience. This recognition is not personal. I think it's also a team effort with what we are doing with Solus or what I have done previously with Yormoka. So I'm really very thankful to wherever we are.
Excellent. Congratulations. So where do we find you today?
Right now, I'm talking from New Jersey.
New Jersey. Okay. And where did you grow up?
I'm actually born and brought up a good chunk of my life in India. So I'm born in a place called Kishanganj, Bihar. It's a very border area, a small border area between, in the north, it is Nepal. In the south, it's Bangladesh. And then connected to India on the east and the west side. And so it's also called as the chicken neck of India. There is, there's not much very exciting thing that happens because it's a small town, not much population while I was growing up. But it's still, geographically, that place has a lot of importance for India because it's a huge border area. Personally, there are we have seen so much while were growing up. When I was, I'm, very early in my age, early 1990s, the literacy rate of the place of Kishanganj was 10%. And by the time it was 2000, in a decade, it only increased 3%, which is 13%. So growing up in a place like that has been its own pros and cons. I think, of course, things were challenging, but then it also made much agile and robust over the time, because it's not easy over there to get easy education and personality development and all. But having said that, today little different. I think majority, like more than 80% literacy rate is there today,
Hmm.
which also shows that, those places are kind of like developing with time, which is really great. But I think it's mostly the hard culture, the hardship that you go through when you are young because of lack of resources. It's also what makes you much more stronger in terms of mindset and personality and hard work. You learn those very early. And I think that those were the things that helped me to keep pursuing. Like I have changed my career number of times in terms of taking a challenge, taking a new risk. And a lot of time when I new word my career, people were like, "You are really doing great. Who does it?" And I was never scared. And that I think comes from those childhood and those small
Hmm.
hometown growing up. So yeah, that's about a little bit.
So when you say that while you were growing up, there were not too many educated people around you, how did you manage to get a good education in that environment? How did you get motivated to learn and kind of elevate yourself from that situation?
Yeah, I think a huge portion plays on parenting side. I think my parents were very clear that they wanted me to have any education, best education possible. And so most of the time, it was me who was coming back while I was a little bit more grown up and I knew what I need to do in the teenage. It was mostly me who will come back and say, I want to do this. And then my parents will be like, okay, what do we do? Let this happen for her. So I think the parenting definitely helped. But coming back to, very early childhood, I still remember my first school that I used to go to. It didn't have a cemented roof. So if it is raining, the water will pour down. But then I came back and complained to my dad. It's like it's too hot. The water pours down, and so I think my dad took it very seriously, and he decided to put me to a school which is little far from the hometown, but still had a cemented roof, fans, and little bit better infrastructure, even though it was very far. So it took me
Hmm.
more than an hour to up and down, like, go to the school, and someone will drop me, someone will pick me up, either my mom or my dad or someone else from the family. So I think the determination from my parents in the very early stage were very important to get the basic things out there. And after a certain point, I became very driven. I was very driven myself. Like I keep joking this, like I was never a very good student. I only studied because I did not want to live in that place. So my only motivation to study was if I don't study, I will be stuck here. So, and then, when I grew up to like, up to my standard 8th, 10th grade, at that time I started developing like a lot of my own thoughts. And so I would tell my dad, like, I want to go to Delhi and get more education over there. I don't want to live here. And so my parents were supportive and they were like, okay, what is needed. So I'll do all the applications and everything. Then all the resource and infra, they will make sure that I get it. There are other things, very small things in the house. Home was, we were not very much into English speaking culture. And so I think my mom, she always understood that like it's very important to learn different languages. And so there was only one, there was no English newspaper used to come to our place, but my dad did some arrangements. So we used to get, only for me, he used to get one newspaper in a week by asking someone from somewhere. And so the Sunday newspaper, the Telegraph will come and I'll read that. And so from there, a little bit of English, another thing started in my journey. Once I left my hometown and I was more into, New Delhi and other colleges, and I picked up by myself. But before that, it was like, these are small things that
Hmm.
get going.
Great. What did your parents do?
They're into business, so clearly that's why I want to be an entrepreneur. So my father and mother, I mean, both of them were working for the same business, but we are into bicycle trading, like both wholesale and retail selling of bicycles.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And so let me ask you a question. It's more like a general question about Indian education and could be a high school system or college system, which produces so many great engineers, so many great
Yeah.
entrepreneurs. So what's different about this system? Can you give us some idea
Yeah, I
overview?
think Yes, I think engineering in general, what happened is in 1990s, when India started developing tech infrastructure, IT infrastructure, like Bangalore was being groomed. So India as a country was developing, and then the employment based country, right? It's not a very entrepreneurial based countries. So people were people knew that if they want to get a job, they have to become an engineer because the engineering job was easily available as the globalization. That drove a lot of people to opt for engineering. So there is like engineering. Most people go for engineering. The second, most people go for medical, being a doctor, and they will go to Russia, Ukraine, and a lot of these Eastern countries to get a medical education if they don't get seats in India. And then the third is internal administrative jobs, like internal, like how in US we have FBI and others, like all the government administrative jobs. People in India aspire for these three categories. Now, what happens in the school system? Like, if you want to ask me, like, why there are engineers being successful, is the school system heavily depends on maths. So, which is like you have to know maths a lot, and it's a very emphasizes thing from family, from teachers. Like your maths needs to be really strong. You can have really bad score in social science or history. It's fine, but maths has to be really. So I think that's why there is a common knack on engineering, and then where people are very good at numbers, and that's why when they come to US and all, and they kind of like are able to crack down more because of the numbers and lot of things we do. A brain calculated maths, so a lot of calculation we are forced to do on brain and not use calculator. In that way your brain gets a little bit more exercised. But I think in terms of entrepreneurship and others is the agility and the persistence. So when what happens is the huge population and the resources less. You have to compete all the time. You have to be your best to get the results. So then what happens is becomes a part of your personality. And when you come out of countries like India and you still carry that personality of like I need to be consistent, persistent, I need to keep working hard. And that's why probably the trajectory and the you see that so much success comes from the Indian names. But I think it's the hardship that happens there makes them more persistent and consistent over life.
Yeah, I see. So let's go back to your journey. So you went to college in India, right?
Yeah.
And what undergrad did you?
I'm an electrical and electronics engineer. I always wanted to initially, so I always wanted to be an it was very clear in my mind, but I never knew what I will be like. What should be the step that I clearly knew that I don't want to sell bicycle, but I thought like I will build some device like maybe manufacture TV and electronics and other things because I really loved electromagnetism and then any kind of electric circuits, VLSI and all. I really loved it. So I always thought for doing the engineering, I'll probably do something. But again, like India, it doesn't have a lot of manufacturing facility. Mostly like we have a lot of assembly, and the easier job you get is the IT job. And so I joined Siemens. Initially joined Sony for some time and did a lot of things on so OLED TV that time was under Sony's R&D when I was doing it with them. I learned really a lot of things from them. And then Siemens, I joined Siemens from there, but then moved to their tech side of things. But clearly, when I moved to tech side of things, all those aspiration of building a hardware product, electronic product left behind, and I started exploring more on software tech, app, web kind of. Yeah, so that's what the engineering.
Okay. Okay. And how did you hear about Thunderbird? How did you decide to go to Thunderbird?
Actually, like when I wrote GMAT, and then there was some counseling that we check, like which universities are best. I got to know about Thunderbird, and then I was for any university or colleges that I was selecting to, I was calling their alumni in LinkedIn or in Facebook, wherever I can. I was trying to understand about Thunderbird, and so I got from Pepperdine University Thunderbird, and there was one more I don't remember. FIU, Florida International University. Um, but Thunderbird alumni, the way they explained a lot of things, the culture and other things, it just made more sense. And I spoke to like bunch of like 8 or 10 people, and everyone had great thing to say about it. And then I researched more, and there was a family friend I knew, and he told me like, "Wow, Thunderbird, like you could definitely do it." And that's why then I was. We did have little bit of discussion on the at that time ASU was buying out Thunderbird, and so things were changing. So we were also thinking about will the legacy change, this, that, lot of discussion, but I think I made the best decision to come.
Great. And do you remember your first day on campus?
Yes, it was very hot, very, very hot. And we were doing a lot of orientation. Then in the evening, we went to Thunderbird pub. And I was like, wow, this college has a pub in the campus. So yeah, a lot of good chat in the Thunderbird pub. I think the first day when we started, it was like more, not so open. People were trying not to gel, trying to figure out who are there. But as soon as everyone came to the pub, I think we made couple friends on day one in the pub, and then lasted till we graduated and even after that.
Great. So what's your favorite memories from that time at Thunderbird?
Well, there's actually a lot. So I used to be the VP of Thunderbird Student Go. One of the major responsibility we had was regional nights. And here, coming from India, only knowing Indian culture and a little bit of German culture, because I was working for Siemens, was in Germany for some time. When I came to Thunderbird, so my cohort and class was of 35 students, and we were more than 29 countries. So the diversity was like really shocking. Like every culture worked differently. And so when we organized the regional nights, the dances, the food, the cultural, everything was so crazy, and it was mind-blowing experience for me at least. That we get to know so much about other cultures, how to work with them, how to negotiate with them, and how to make meaningful relationship with them. This all came from Thunderbird, and I think the regional nights, especially organizing them. Once the regional nights are done successfully and do the after party after regional night was the awesome.
That's true. I have the same memories.
Yeah, you get the foods that I you get food, and then again go back to the pub and then have a blasting night on a successful regional night. It's awesome.
That's great. That's great. So, how did you find your first job after graduation
From Thunderbird.
from
So I
Thunder?
think yeah, I joined Thunderbird. I think our cohort started August 10, 2015, and I think October 3rd or 4th, Western Union actually came campus, and apparently they keep coming campus every year to hire interns. And there was an orientation in the campus, so I just went there and I spoke to the person from Western Union, and then he asked me to come and interview for next. I didn't even have my resume with me. I was just happened to be there. I was like, oh, okay, I don't have my resume with me. And he's like, no worries. He's like, he was very cool with it. He's like, no worries. You can just give to me or give me your number. We'll schedule something for next day. And then I quickly went to the Xerox Center. You probably remember the Xerox Center. And then got the resume printed out, and again came back to the auditorium and gave it to him. And then next day he reviewed, and then after 1 or 2 days, they just called me and like, "Hey, got the job." And
That's great.
so, like, I was in the campus for 2 months, and I already had a job, which is, I think, I was very lucky because a lot of people they kept applying, and sort of, yeah, that's my job is completely given by.
That's great. So you working at the Western Union and
Yeah.
you deciding to become an entrepreneur. How did that happen? How did it cross your mind that well, I'm done working for somebody else. I wanna be my own boss and create this.
I I think I always wanted to do that. Uh, and I was trying a couple things back in India while I was working with in Siemens also. It was just not working out. And so I thought like probably I'm not ready and I need to do something or get a little bit more exposure to think like what I should build next, how to even run it. My major challenge was I was always confused, like what to build, right? There was some ideas, but I don't think those ideas were great and they're solving a problem. So that's why I decided to do MBA. And then Thunderbird gave me a little bit more perspective, but then Western Union definitely gave me more perspective. So I joined Western Union as an internal audit intern, then got an internal auditor. Then when I left Western Union, I was heading their entire payments, some which included like bank payout, wallet payout, card payout, and we were doing some payment hub, like we were trying to build a transformation of our entire payment system in something that where we can provide payments as a service, just like Stripe and others. So yeah, while I was growing fast also in my career, there was I was happy, I was very thankful, but at the same time, there was always something that I felt like you know I'm missing. And as I was growing up, I also realized like probably the paycheck is increasing, but I'm doing the same thing, um, in every role that I'm taking. And so there was a moment, I think COVID gave time because you keep running. And I definitely was the person from 2016 to 2020, almost 2024 years, didn't take any break, kept running, like, and 12 hours of work. Okay, got one promotion, want next. Okay, got another, I want next. So I definitely was that kind of person. But COVID happened and then COVID gave time. And then I started thinking very deep, like, is this something I really want to do for next in 20 years, like this, chasing one promotion after other, one promotion after other, or I want to do something that I really wanted. And by this time, I had some very concrete problems that wanted to solve. So I had that clarity. I also had the clarity of like how should I go about building my team? How should I raise some funds? And I also got some financial stability by then. So I was like, I can't take risk now. And so, yeah, I just decided to quit. And then for very brief time, moved to India, built the team over there, and then again came back to States. That's how the transition from Western Union to entrepreneur.
And did you decide to go on your own, or did you have a partner at that time?
I did not have any co-founder at that time. I started solo for the first time, and I was trying to spend time to find co-founder. And I thought, like, rather than trying to do a matchmaking, like, let me just start and try to build the team. If someone in the team, really does great and is loves the product and also knows what we are doing and aligns with it, why don't I make that person as a co-founder? So with that notion, I started Your Mocha. But I did. I was very close to have some co-founder, but didn't materialize much. But I think with Solus, I did the same thing again. I knew someone, and for the tech side, and I worked with them to build the MVP together. And after that, I was like, okay, let me make you, can you come as a co-founder? That's generally my approach rather than, going to, there are a lot of co-founder dating sites and all, but until you work, it's very difficult to understand whether you can.
If you were to give an advice to aspiring entrepreneur who wants to start his or her business and have a great idea, would you suggest going solo or finding a co-founder and kind of building a small team of founders?
I have to be very cautious because both of them has pros and cons. So if you already know someone, it can be your co, and already get along with it, and he or she can have shared values, then go for it because that makes your life 100%. Because while you are focusing on one thing dedicatedly, you know that someone else is also focusing on other parts of the business and 100% dedicated. So you don't have to change your focus constantly. You will not get crazy. But if you don't know anyone as a co-founder and you are just waiting on your idea, you are very sure or you are convicted, you are just waiting that if I found a co-founder, then I'll jump. I would say don't, because what happens is when you start the journey, there are a lot of people who you come across, and a lot of people will join you the journey. But the first thing is you have to start, and then you can always pick and choose from the people who have joined you, whether you want to bring them as a co-founder or not. And that always is much better. If you already don't know who a good co-founder previously, it's better because these people have joined you, you have spent time with them, they're already working with you. So then bumping them up as a co-founder makes more sense than randomly going to dating sites. And then I actually tried Y Combinator co-founder search also. It's so much waste of time. This is what my real experience is. I would say don't waste your time. Just start solo. If you have a lot of conviction, you will definitely go crazy for 6 months or a year, but then you will find alternate. But if you don't start, you will never.
So let me dig into starting a little
Yeah.
bit. When you say just start, in your case, what did you do like first, I don't know, first month or first week? What were your first steps to start moving in the right direction?
Yeah, I think the first thing is to do the market research and understanding. So you have an idea. I think everyone will say like go and talk to a lot of people and see whether this works or not. And we did it. I also did it on the problem and the solution. So the first couple things is only about talking who can be relevant to the problem you are. Don't talk to irrelevant people who can just give you, yeah, this is a great idea, and that person probably doesn't even know what the nitty gritty of that industry is. Go and talk to the people who belong to the industry, who are really using something, who are facing those problems. I think that gives you a better understanding. Second thing is, again, understand the industry you are going in. I think my biggest lesson from your Mocha was the industry is very, no matter how much you want to automate the industry, but the industry is still manually operated. There's still a lot of opportunity, but no one has been able to figure it out complete automation with complete driven tech. I think that I realized in the journey. My other thing is, so do your market research, talk to people, the person, but you will never realize the full picture until you have an MVP. Put it out. You can have a number of talks, number of planning, number of things, but the moment you have an MVP and you put it out in front of people, the amount of insights that you get, it's nothing compared to all those. And that is where I think as a founder, you need to really hone the skills and you'll be like, is this make sense? Do I really want to pursue this anymore? Knowing this insights now. Can I solve this? And if yes, then go for it. No, then just stop there. Because again, if you are forcibly like now, a lot of founders they were like, "Oh, I have quit my job. This is what I'm going to do," and then they launch the MVP, and then if the results are not coming or the insights are not aligning to what they were thinking, they still push themselves like, "Oh, I have to do this. I have to do this." No, it's not required. Okay, repivot, change it to something else. Maybe change it. Maybe stick to the same industry. Just change the little bit of things that will add more value to the. But just doing talking, market research, survey are great, but you will never learn the actual result until you. So I think the next thing is to how do you build them now based on your different if you're building an e-commerce site, just put a site with one button like checkout order, you can get some interest. But if you're building something like what we were doing with your mock-up with like algorithmic matchmaking kind of thing, you still have to do some kind of and put it out. So it was like the MVP was still like you were building a software. So it was not super easy that you can build something within a week and put it out. So yeah, you build some MVP that you think is the minimum that can be used, and then put it out. Try to just charge money out of it. You are getting money out of it, and move ahead. If you're not getting money out of it, then think what you need.
Speaking about money, so you're a new founder, no previous entrepreneurial experience, and you need to fundraise for your startup, right? To finance the growth and scale of it. How did you approach it? This challenging task.
Yeah. The first thing you should do if you have never raised funds And you need to go to your own network. At least like this is what I did because I had already worked for 10 years. By then, I had some good network with executives and C-level executives who were angel investors on their side. So I raised some funds. Now, if you are college graduate, don't have any experience, don't have even this network, I would say, I think do what I did in my second. I took the idea and started talking to the C-level executive, to the industry, and just ask like, what do you think? Now, how do you get there? That is an art that you will have to do next. Some of my angel investors who are like really like CMOs, CEOs of some crypto exchanges and all, I never knew them from before. So it's all about networking and uh, either send cold emails. I've sent cold emails and I got a response, two responses. So I thought like it was crazy. And
What was the conversion rate for cold emails?
I think so. My first investor was a Twitter DM. Solus was a Twitter DM. I DM'd someone who is a founder of an exchange, and I wrote like, "Hey, this is what I'm doing. Here is my LinkedIn. I would love to know your thoughts." And I got in response and said like, "I live in Dubai, but happy to talk to you." And I could have done it virtual also, but I just decided that I'll fly to Dubai and talk. This is just me. So I just told him like I'm coming, and I think he was also surprised that I'm coming to do people do virtual meeting and all. But for me, it was very important because I'm taking an idea to someone, and I should be able to pitch one on one with face to face so that I can understand the reaction of that person much more easily. And when you are having drink or lunch and dinner and talking, it's a totally different setup than a virtual meeting. So you get to know a lot more things when you are actually meeting a person in that kind of thing. So I decided to. My second one, yeah,
You just flew to Dubai for that one meeting and
I
flew
did.
back?
Yes, one day. I
Wow.
stayed there for one day. So I landed a day before a night, and then next morning, I think at 3 p.m. or 3:30 p.m. I had the meeting. So I went to I met him by 5 or 6 p.m. and then I took the flight, which was like 11 p.m. back from Dubai to.
And I assume it was a successful meeting
It
since
was a
you
successful meeting.
raised.
It was a successful meeting. A lot of question that he poked into what I was building was meaningful, and he didn't end up investing but then the conversation was very constructive. So I came back. I started working on the points and the things that he asked, and I kind of like re-stitched those. But the relationship was done now. Like he saw my face. We spent time. So now sending a text was much easier and getting a response was much easier. It was no more unknown relationship. So that's why I thought like going and flying there and got it. And so once I fixed those and I sent him an update, and then he was like, boom, okay, and I didn't even ask for investment that time. When I sent him an update, and I got a response like, this is really good. I'd like to invest. What are your thoughts?
Great.
So I think if you are not having network and this, you have to go to
No,
cold base.
that's a great advice. That's a great advice. And so, do you still prefer in-person meetings
I
with
always
potential
prefer.
investors and funders?
I I have reduced it a little bit because I was almost going a little crazy with so many people now. Going after one person and going after 10% is different. So nowadays, my fundraising style is more like an intros because now I have a network. So, you are my investor or I'm talking to you, I'm a relationship. I'll just go and ask, like, hey, I'm doing this. Anyone who would be interested? Just give me one or two intros. So it's now a network effect. So, but initially, when I was starting at scratch, I traveled a lot. So I was in Dubai, Singapore, US, India. I was just all over the place. In US also, I was in Arizona for some time. We did actually experiment and a little bit in ASU for launching. So we built this small MVP and we went to 2 or 3 ASU classes that I knew. And we did a pilot with them. And then we started capturing responses from them. And then we were like, this is what we need to fix, but more or less what we are doing makes sense. So there was a lot of travel that time. Now it has reduced, but I think if you have to build relationship, you have to go and meet. There were investors who gave me money, but then I made sure that I fly meet even after I got the money. I think the relationship, if you're doing fundraise, relationship is very important. Network is very important. Making people know who you are, what you are, it's very important. So just go and meet them. Once you have the network, then it's all network.
Great. Thank you. So you had an exit with your first startup.
Yeah.
Can we cover this? When did you realize that it's time to sell, and why you made that decision instead of just keep going?
Yeah. Actually, this is a very good question. When we started building your mocha, I had I was a hiring manager. I was building my team that, and I like hiring is broken and it's very tough. So I thought like I'm solving a genuine problem, and it is a genuine. I think the solution was great. And here is what happens that I was telling. Like until you jump in, you never get to know this. Is We started acquiring clients, and we got some good startups from California. The innovative startups, the upgrowing startups were really keen to use our product. But the money actually were with big corporates. And the big corporates are much more bureaucratic. And there are like different lines of recruiters come in place. You hardly get access to the hiring manager with whom you want to match the candidate, not to the recruiter, right? So the app should be used by the hiring manager by themselves, just like, Bumble, the two people want to date are using the app, not an assistant of someone, right? I think that's where we were like, boom, this is a little hard to navigate. But we realized like if you are already a big um, established player in this market, you can still have a little bit more influence on these things. So we kind of like sold it to consultants, like big HR consultants who already have, and their recruiters are the contractors who are actually working for these big giants. For us, they became much more easier to sell. So we kind of like sold the algorithm to them.
Got it. And so you started your current startup. So
Yeah.
can you tell us about your new venture and what problem you're solving and how's it
Yeah.
going so far?
So, I was always thinking like, derivatives, futures, and options is very tricky, and retail certainly don't know how to do it. And underlying any kind of trading you do, most important thing is you should be able to predict the market if you're doing trading. So there's a different story between investing and trading. Investing, you don't need to worry for the short volatility and everything. You're just buying, live it for 5 years, 10 years, things will change. Trading is difficult. You have to be aware of the, very short term market volatility, what is going to happen, and you should be able to predict the price of any asset. So I was very clear that we need to do something related to price prediction. The retail user should be able to predict price, which is the most hard part. So initially we were doing a lot of price prediction kind of thing where you get like 15 minutes, 20 minutes window and you are just predicting price. And there are like polls going on where you are able to understand what other traders' sentiments are. And based on that, you are just predicting. We did that. And then gradually from there, we realized like, why don't we make it more gamified so that people and the retail investor with low investment can at least start having the sense of trading. And so we did that, and then we realized like the moment we are organizing competitions and other things, there's a huge amount of crowd getting interested, and then mostly are the Gen Z, and that gave them not only because it involved real money, but not very like you can start as low as $1.
Mm-hmm.
So so it was not like you were risking a lot of money. You are, but until
Sorry.
like real money,
Keep going.
no worries. But until like real money is involved, you don't get, if you do paper money, you will not be cognitive of losing it. That's why having real money is important. But then low investment is also important so that you can keep trying and learn and also have fun with. So we started with that. And then we gradually removed the restriction. Now you can start with $1. There are people who does $100, $500 based on your appetite, based on whatever you want to do. Users are free to do. So yeah, the tournament style that we started where people are trading with real money and competing each other, it's kind of like we started blowing up and showed great retention. And so there we were like, why don't we make it a little bit fantasy style that people can create for their own team? They're trading, but they can create trading battles. So the idea came up from there. So we kind of like changed the derivatives into more simple, social driven, little gamified. It had both the agenda of user to trade, of course, make money from trading, but also like learn. And now we are also trying to bring agentic AIs where you can create your own AI persona and you can have actually have multiple AI. And you can make one of your AI persona go for very risk driven. One of your AI persona can be mixed, one can be conservative, and let your AI persona do it. You first get secured from any kind of like over trading, greed trading, revenge trading, but at the same time, these agents, the kind of they are trading and their other players, AI agents are trading, you get the data insights. You can use them to become a better trader. There's a little bit of educational element to it too, but at the same time, you are having fun with that. So that's what Solus is doing. And yeah, we are seeing some great traction. We have 2,000 plus users actually MAU trading in our platform. And if I leave MAU, like to the net user, we have like 25,000 users doing it every month. So very, very happy.
That's great. What's a day like in the life of Solus Finance founder?
Less crazy than before, but it's still like every day, just like any other founder, there is, different opportunities, different challenges. I think the very hard challenge, as I told you, like even Solus, I started solo. Then I brought my other co-founders. The initial days were lot of different folks here and there. So initial days were like, okay, you are raising funds, you are also building, telling a story that people would understand. You are looking after the MVP. You're also trying to look after like the initial user and their reaction. So I think the initial days were, and you are building team, you're hiring the right people. So I think the initial days were crazy, but at this point, I think we have a very good system, very good organized teams. So I don't, I don't, I think a founder should be more into less work, more brain work. That you are thinking through what can come, what can go. I think I am now at that stage where I don't have to work like doing everything, but I have to more thinking like what's next.
So
I need to understand.
what are you thinking about today? What's your top two items that you need to think through?
Yeah, so I today, I mean, at least this week, I'm building the whole narrative and story for the next cycle of fundraise, which will be starting from Feb. Jan is pretty much dead. February onwards when we get start. So I think this week my agenda is to get the story set up, get all the data points ready, and then from next week onwards, I want to start talking to some people about the story and what do they feel. And it's not going to be a pitch; it's more like testing the water. What others thinking? Are they able to resonate? What's the next milestone for Solus should be? So this is generally my process. So for next 1.5 months, I'll just do that and keep tweaking and take everyone's feedback into it and see like if this makes sense, and then maybe from February we'll start. There's also a lot of networking, so I think this week is very much focused on that. There is some product features that are coming up, which is a little bit more on one or two features on the fantasy style where you can invite your friends to come and join the tournament, so we'll be watching on that. So these two are the prime things that I'm focusing today. uh, actually this week.
Excellent. And what's keeping you up at night in terms of business issues or business problems that you need to resolve quickly?
I think there are like different business issues, and I cannot categorize that. Okay, this is the one business issue today came, tomorrow something else. So, for example, like day before yesterday, our app was Actually, our app was down for almost 7, 8, and was more like the server issue. Server was unable to process, and it took us 8 hours to figure out what's it. Now, because we are still young, and small team, we don't have a separate support team who is working 24 cross 7. It's the same tech team, the developers who are also acting as a support. So things takes time. Figuring out what's the root cause that this happened, time. And so there are like one of these sporadic issues that comes in, and it's very, there is no generic pattern that I'll tell you, oh, this is the pattern. So before yesterday that happened. Every day there are users who sometimes don't understand how to use or deposit in crypto, and they lose their money. They probably send into a completely different blockchain wallet, and then they will come and claim us like, oh, I didn't receive the money you deposited. And then it's very hard to make them understand like we never received the money. So they will go and probably started writing hundred of things in Reddit and Quora. So then there's a lot of reputation management you have to do, even if you're not wrong. So these things keeps happening. There is nothing that stops over there. On top of it, keeps me, probably not let me sleep or keeps me awake. Mostly what is next. So for me, it's like, so this week is a Diwali week. It's the Indian festival week, so it's a little bit slow. But then my thing is like when my team is back, the tech team, and I have a chat with my co-founder, like what's the next product feature should, what are the different campaigns should go, what I'm building for next year, do I have a plan for it ready? I think those are the much more exciting as well as challenging, because you haven't started those, so you don't know what challenge you will face. So it's the brain starts anticipating. Have you thought about this? Have you did this? This challenge might come. So I think that takes a lot of my brain. The day-to-day issues are always going to be there. So now I'm used to it. There was a time when I used to panic a lot about all these things, but I don't panic.
Yeah, but it's a good segue to my next question. What's your vision for your business? What's the vision for Solus? So where do you see it in 5 years?
When I started Solus, my thought process was very simple. I was like, this is something people need, and this is something is actually a fast growing market. Um, you compare with prediction markets, the same thing they're trying to predict the price or future of any, be it like simplified derivatives. It's a very fast growing. My idea was to build something which can be complementing to either a bigger exchange or because we are a little bit on fantasy side, maybe fantasy players. So my thought process was today 2,000, year 10,000, year after that 50,000, and then get acquired. So I started with that. So I did reversed gear for Solus. I was like, okay, if I have to get acquired, what all things I have to do? So form those partnerships first. Talk to those people first. See if they resonate with your idea. If you grow with them and they know you from the beginning, the acquisition is much easier rather than you build a company and then you try to figure out who is going to acquire you. So I started everything from there. Having said that, I actually got a very good feedback from someone who said like, if you're building something, build for a legacy. And so I'm open to that concept too. But to be honest, when I started this with that business. Now with the whole agentic AI layer, I think that part we can definitely leverage as more a B2B segue for Solus, because all the exchanges, all the brokerage, all the sports fantasy, eventually there will be like the AI agents who are building the teams, the sports fantasy to maximize the win. The brokerage firms will be having the robo trading is already there, but the AI agentic is little. Robo trading is still like coming up. AI agentic is more about you are customizing your personality, so it's a totally little bit different thing.
Mhm.
I think I think the future belongs to a lot of these things with AI agents in trading, finance, or in terms of games and fantasy of the world. So I think if we build that B2B layer and then we can give SDK, SaaS SDK to a lot of these people, a lot of these different players. And this can be like, McDonald's don't make money by selling burger. They make a huge wealth and legacy by the real. Amazon became Amazon because of AWS, not just because of commerce. So I think this layer can be the remarkable thing for Solus and can be a prolonged B2B journey for.
Excellent. Well, thank you for sharing it. And I think it's a good time to wrap up. And before we do that, let me ask you a few quick questions. What advice would you give to a 20-year-old self, given what you know today and given your experience?
Little bit more disciplined and focus. I think I always, I was a big dreamer then also, but I didn't have the drive to be very disciplined, focused, go through the rough patch, and do it. I was a quick quitter of the things back then.
Excellent. What message do you have for Thunderbird community?
I will say, guys, when I was in Thunderbird, I did not understand how it impacted my personality. I only understand that after I left Thunderbird, started working, and eventually when I look back, I was like, oh my God, this is skills from Thunderbird. Your peers in Thunderbird are your best teacher. Of course, classroom teaching, all those things are very important. Don't get me wrong. But what you learn from your peers, your cohort, different cultures, I think that builds up the personality in Thunderbird a lot. And that's why Thunderbird is a little different from any other MBA where they make sure that you are having different cross culture, not just you are doing a plain MBA. I think just go to the campus, do all the extracurricular activities. Don't just be into, dorms, or don't just be a very, go to class person, do classes, don't skip those, but keep yourself involved in the campus as much as you can. I think that's a great learning curve for any people right now.
Excellent. Thank you. And so what the next destination on your list of travels, either for pleasure or to meet a new investor?
Well, I was supposed to be in Dubai this week, but I could not travel. But the next I could not travel. I had to skip my flight. But my next travel is actually to Phoenix. I'm coming to Phoenix in late November, meeting some people over there. And then January, I'm going to Singapore and India. So yeah, those two are my coming up.
Great. Well, Sangeeta, thank you so much for this wonderful conversation, for all your wisdom. We wish you continued success building Sol's Finance, and best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alex. Appreciate having me here.